Welcome back to HowToAV.tv. We're here at the ISE 2017 event and we're joined by Michael Heiss, one of CEDIA's most senior presenters and trainers. Do not adjust your TV sets. He really is wearing the test card today and he is absolutely the talk of the show.
Thank you.
Michael, welcome to HowToAV.tv.
Thank you, glad to speak with you.
It is great to have you. And Michael, you've just come out of your seminar talking about the latest technologies. Now, all of the latest technologies
As
are
many
here
as
at
I
the
can
show.
fit into 90 minutes.
And now we're going to make you squeeze it into 4 if we can.
It's difficult.
So there are some fantastic technologies that we're going to talk about today, but I also know that what's important to you is some of the technologies that are coming this way in the future.
Indeed, and there are a couple of things that are going to be hot within the next, let's say through the end of the year and into early next year, because much of this was shown at CES back in January. The thing that I would emphasize, though, to all of your viewers is that some of these things were announced and they're available. And then there were things that were announced that aren't going to be here for a while. So, for example, HDMI 2.1 will be a tremendous improvement over the current scheme of HDMI 2.0A and B, but there's no content that requires it yet. In fact, the chips aren't available and the spec isn't done yet. So your viewers will see and hear about it, but when they get inquiries about it from their clients, I would urge them to be able to explain it, to show what the benefits are, but don't let that get in the way of a sale. Bottom line is it will allow 4K up to 120 hertz. It will allow 8K. It will even allow up to 10K 120 programming, but that programming just doesn't exist.
So let's talk about the exciting technologies that came out of CES that we're going to be seeing here. Let's talk about the ones that are available now and the ones that we should be concentrating on.
Okay, and the one that I would definitely put at the top of that list is HDR, which is high dynamic range. And it could be applicable to all video formats, but it's really only used right now for 4K. And the thing that's a little bit confusing is there are 4 flavors of that. There's HDR10, which is an open standard. There's Dolby Vision, strangely enough, put out by Dolby. There's another one called Advanced HDR by Technicolor, and there's a new system called HLG, which stands for Hybrid Log Gamma, which was developed by the BBC and the NHK broadcasters in Japan. What all of these things do is allow the viewer to see more content. So if you picture the range of human vision being from here to here, the range of vision that you're able to do on a TV set is here. So you can shift it to the darker areas, but then if there's any light on the other side, it'll get blown out. You can move it over here to the light areas, but then the darks will disappear. So the object is to make it a little bigger. So the best thing I can imagine is if you're watching a football match, either my flavor or your flavor, or if you're watching a big thing at Wembley where they've got one of these roofs that isn't open, but it comes over the pitch. And if there's a sunlight coming in, part of the field is light and part is dark. So as the camera goes from one end of the field to the other, this will enable the viewer to see more into the picture. And that's what HDR does. That's really what I would say is the pony inside of 4K, is the ability to have HDR, and you're going to see quite a bit of it. HDR is the baseline standard, and pretty much all of those sets have it. Dolby is an add-on. Many of the manufacturers offer it, some don't, and for a variety of reasons. And then this HLG is now becoming standard. It will be used mostly for live broadcasts as opposed to the other two, which will be more for, if you will, filmed material. And if your customers say, well, how do I make sure that my products that I provision are compatible? The answer is that over time, not now, But by the time we gather here, hopefully next year, just as any AV receiver or surround sound processor that you buy now has both Dolby and DTS, sooner than later, the TV sets will most likely have all four. So you should know what it's coming, know that it's what it does, and be able to explain what the benefits and how you can get it.
And we were talking a little bit earlier about some of the new technologies that we're hearing about. We're at a show, it's all about marketing the future and what are going to be the replacement technologies, which are all incredibly exciting. But you've got a really interesting opinion on whether we need them now and worries about compatibility in the future. Can you talk about that a bit more for us, Michael?
Well, I am clearly never known with not having an opinion, so you can take that for what it's worth. But again, I think the same sort of rules apply to virtually every technology as to what we were just discussing about HDR. Object-based audio, there's Atmos, and there's DTS:X, and I guess to a smaller degree, Auro 3D. You must be able to explain to your clients and customers and prospects what each one of these things does, what value it delivers, how much it costs, and is it backward compatible, and do you need to buy everything now, in which case you might want to have this. But if somebody comes in and says, I only have a limited budget for upgrades or additions, you have to parse out what you provide based on what has the most immediate and then backward compatible benefit. And that's kind of my view of those technologies, like the audio, like the video, in streaming, which is very big in the US and becoming big in Europe and the rest of the world. There are many different devices. There's Apple TV, there's Google Chromecast, there's Roku, which I know they have in the UK, but not so much in the rest of Europe, very big in the US. And you have to be careful when somebody says, oh, I want an Apple TV. Cool, and here's what it does, and here's the quality, but no 4K. Doesn't mean it's bad. No 4K, no HDR, and because Apple and Google don't really get along, and Amazon don't get along that well, if you have a lot of content that you get from Amazon, you won't be getting that from your Apple TV. Doesn't mean it's bad. I've got one. I've got 2 or 3 of them. So you need to view this as a holistic sort of thing where what's the content? How do you get it? Is there enough bandwidth? So if you have a client that's very into streaming, you have to make sure that you've provisioned enough reliable bandwidth in the residence so that if dad stays home and he's working, mom is home and she's working, the kids have come home from school and grandpa's looking at the stocks, is there enough bandwidth to allow Junior to do their streaming? The Super Bowl was 2 days ago as we sit here, and there was a record number of streaming. It was an overtime game. And as people, during the course of the game, got into using the streaming devices more and more, they literally crashed the system. So the installer has to be able to understand it's not my fault. Because when that happens, who are they going to call? They're not going to call Sky News or Fox Sports. They're going to call, what'd you do? Doesn't work. And what you have to be ready to explain is it something that you, installer person, did wrong by not provisioning enough bandwidth and enough reliable and fast enough bandwidth, or did the flaw lie somewhere else? You can never have too much bandwidth.
So Michael, I guess that the real tips for the integrator are to understand your client, understand their budget, and understand what their needs are, and build a brief around that.
And understand the technology, because there's some that they must have now, some that they should have now, and some that it would be nice to have now, but you might need it later. And to just make sure that everything is configured to meet the needs of the client within the budget, within their particular content requirements, and then what is available now and how long would be able to provide the entertainment going forward.
Michael, thank you so much.
Thank you for
Great
having
to
me.
catch up with you.
Anytime.
Next time that we meet you, I expect there to be real content coming out of this jacket.
Indeed.
4K,
There's
8K.
a technology for that.
There really is, yeah. Next time you'll be wearing it. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure. Thank
Great
you.
to see you.
Thank you.
For joining us on HowToAV.tv. We've got plenty more information coming out of ISE 2017. Join us again soon. Thanks for watching.